Get myself some sort of comfortable. Ow. Stubbed my toe while making myself comfortable.
All works.
All right. So, welcome back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, the first... I have an agenda today.
Okay.
And I guess the right thing to do before I launch into it is to say, where are you with what we've talked about? In terms of, I know it hasn't been really nuts and bolts, like saying, okay, well, your statistics on your rolls work out like this, so that means this upbringing is broken, right? So I'm not doing that, at least not yet.
Right.
What matters at this point is whether the slight abstraction of our conversations has been useful.
It has. I settled down with this idea of the setting, and I think after reading the essay that you sent me, the big thing, I think that so much of that I already do when we play. Mm-hmm. It's in the buy-in, it's in the kind of the briefing and with the discussion, the over the game, pre-play, post-play kind of stuff. It's just, it's one of those things that it kind of led me on this trail where like, man, how many things am I doing to make my game run a certain way that I'm not even really aware of? It's like I'm doing these things, but I need to make sure that other people know how to do this.
So if we look at your buy-in, and I want to go now to the head of the Doomsmith.
Okay.
First of all, there's just before the buy-in, when we sit down, the players need something. And you've got that nice bullet point stuff about the world is this and the story is that and these are the themes and the characters are this. And all of those are actually very, very helpful. You know what kind of fantasy. You want to talk genre, you've got genre. You've kind of got that nicely set. Let's presume that the players are totally on it.
Okay.
Now, I sat down to make up some characters like halfway through, so people could pick them up and complete them for a playtest of them. All right, so I sat down to do that, and I ran immediately into a problem.
Okay.
I don't know any geography.
Mm.
And although you've got the cultures, I don't know where they are. I think that the player, however, while they make their character, and particularly even if they just follow what's there and say, well, I'll get there eventually, they're going to need something, and it's the same thing that the Doomsmith needs before the Doomsmith says, okay, let's begin. You, gladiator guy, or whoever, whichever player character, you're sitting here, or you're standing here, or you're about to do this. All of those need a little more content that I had trouble finding anywhere. Either in the steps of character creation or in the setting material. The setting material is mostly culture by culture. And that makes sense, and it's great when I'm looking at making my character and I read about the Asteri, who was for the character I was making up, and I get it. What I'm not getting is a sense of, and that means here, in an area. When I take a look at setting, I think we talked about this the first time. I don't care about setting. I care about situations in practice. If I'm going to say, okay, we're going to sit down and play test this, what kind of situation are we talking about? Now, yes, I know that everything you've wrote in the buy-in is true. And your buy-in is actually really full of great interactions that are really, really necessary. And it would tell us a lot about things like, okay, what is, what's the the soul status, or what's the I don't have my notes, the levels of where we are in the apocalyptic, sequence. But the players don't know what those are either. They're just going to say, just tell us. There are two games I want to reference for you briefly. And it's an old game, like 25 years old, called Pelakar. And it's a fantasy game. And it definitely qualifies as a Heartbreaker from the right era of Heartbreakers. So one of its failings as a text is that it gives all the races and it gives all the religions, and all but one character option is tied to a religion, not a specific one, but involved with religion. So it's a big deal in this setting. And the Pantheon, the theology, is all really carefully built. And they've even got a map with locations on it. But there's absolutely no connection between the map and character options. So you're kind of going, and somebody built this world. I mean, they know how big the planet is relative to Earth. They tell you like elevations and stuff for this map. They went to work on it. But there's this weird functional disconnect between it and the making of the character options. The game has multiple authors, and I am damned if Build the World was not Bob's job and do character creation was Jane's job. The fact that not a single one of those place names is actually found anywhere else in the text, especially not relevant to any of the characters or religions. And that in the text there is one word that's used as both a culture and a region in reference to one of the religions that's not on the map. So I'm sitting there and I work my way through the characters. Character creation has nothing to do with region or culture at all. You have your races. And they're very carefully, the bonuses you get for this or that race, and everything, that's all carefully worked through. So do you see the kind of disconnects that I'm struggling with? I'm going to want to put them together. I don't want it all spelled out for me. I mean, I'm in your game, I'm the Doomsmith. I want to do stuff. I don't want it canned. What I do want is material. So when the person who chooses Gladiator says, okay, so where's a good place for me to be? Or where am I from? If I'm this cult, if I'm this stock, and I've got this set of upbringings, there's kind of a sense of lock me in here, lock me in with the rest of everything here. And either the player picks it because they get to, or it comes with an upbringing or whatever because it just does, or the Doomsmith at this point has to make use of their knowledge and say, okay, here. I don't care how. Somebody, somehow, but without that, we are kind of flapping our hands. The Doomsmith can't say, well, just tell me what you want to the players during buy-in. The players can't say to the Doomsmith, well, where are we? Or how is, what are we doing? Without something to grab on. And the curse of role-playing games, of course, is that turns into a 50-page lexicon of, 5,000 years ago, the elves came to this world, ... and then we move through the 5,000 years. That's obviously not going to help us. I'm talking procedure, not content.
So I thought about this, and I wrote up a little bit of a mock. Now, I thought about what you said last time, and I took two parts from it. One is kind of the locations as far as where you're from, and the next is where's play. So I've worked on the first part about having a homeland. So what I did is I made up this little mock where I took the traits that you can choose. I kind of divided them up. I made like a little system where you get your traits based off where you're from. So not only are you an Astari, but are you from the ruins of Aster? Are you from this place? And then I wrote a sentence for each one. It's a simple mock-up. So that way, whenever you build your character, you choose your traits, and it's going to tell you where you're from. It's going to tell you a little bit about that.
That sounds fantastic, because I like the fact that you're choosing your traits strictly on their story power, right? So it's not like you have to choose a place and then get stuck with the traits. It's more like, well, I want these traits. All right, where am I? Where could I be from? That sounds great. So that would work really, really well. Then, I mean, it helps the player, right? The player says, oh, all right, so now I've made my choices on my aesthetic priorities because I want to play this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is this world going to give back to me and tell me who I am in it? And the answer is yes. Okay, you're from here. All right, I'm ready.